Across China, a chilling question echoes: where did everyone go? Both cities and villages sit strangely vacant. For years, the CCP bragged about a population dividend, claiming 1.4 billion people as the force behind China's rise. However, the barren villages and the endless Ghost Festival fires suggest a different narrative. The world now suspects China's population numbers might be fake. If the census itself is a fabrication, one has to ask, in a land of counterfeit goods and false promises, is anything left that is real? What is China's actual population? The Chinese Communist Party insists the country holds 1.4 billion people. Yet, bloggers throughout the mainland have been posting videos raising a starkly different question. Why does every city feel so vacant? And why are rural towns strangely abandoned? If the official story holds up, where did those 1.4 billion people actually go? With Beijing hiding data, the increase in uninhabited villages has turned into one of the nation's most disturbing mysteries. A blogger explained the view bluntly. The whole town has everything. Hospitals, schools, banks, police stations, all forsaken. Totally deserted, brothers. We are currently at Siming Mountain Village, now labeled an uninhabited village because not a single soul remains here. It is such a massive village, completely empty, accompanied only by the sound of chirping birds. It truly seems like the apocalypse is here. Another shared a find while driving across Hunan. I unexpectedly stumbled upon a vast zone of vacant homes circled by weeds. Inside these houses, there are piles of leftover items. Winter gear, raincoats, and a closet full of clothes. Look, there is even a TV. The floor looks very clean, yet it is clearly unoccupied. Look behind me to the left and right. There are actually many more structures we haven't checked. A blogger filming in Shenzhen used a drone to record what he termed the region's largest uninhabited village. Stepping into the town, it is totally abandoned. Numerous buildings are damaged, but there are also many intact, even luxurious ones. Still, they are empty too. Scanning the entire village, there are over 100 households. The map says this village is named Duimonhan. Entering the village, it is so silent. It is spooky. Why is such a large village completely empty? Why are the houses fenced off? If it was a government requisition, why hasn't it been developed into a historic village scenic area for tourists? It is all a puzzle. These aren't isolated cases. Online videos show that provinces such as Hunan, Hubei, Henan, Hebei, Guangxi, and Yunnan all contain vast numbers of uninhabited villages. Observers say the same thing. Whether in the cities or the countryside, the population appears to have sharply decreased. Mr. Wang, a resident of Fujian, confirmed that his city's population is indeed much smaller than before. Factories, shops, restaurants, and markets sit nearly empty. Some estimates suggest the scale of the decline is staggering. Elon Musk's AI model Grok 3, using official CCP data, projected that between 150 million and 200 million Chinese people may have vanished during the 3 years of the pandemic. Gongshan Sheng, an associate researcher at Taiwan's Institute for National Defense and Security Research, argued that such a sharp reduction cannot be explained by natural population decline alone. Even if China's 1.4 billion population dropped by 100 million, that's less than the population of a single city. So, how could more than half the people on the streets suddenly disappear? The proportion doesn't add up, he said, adding that the pandemic must have played a role. Adding to the speculation, a TikToker claimed that a contact within the police system revealed China's true population to be only about 760 million. Another user circulated a screenshot from NetEase Media citing the Ministry of Public Security, which reported just over 770 million citizens with ID cards. The same ministry admitted that only 8.9 million newborns were registered in the National Household System, 1.7 million fewer than the National Bureau of Statistics had publicly reported. If accurate, such discrepancies would point to massive manipulation of population data. Japanese researchers analyzing salt consumption data have likewise estimated China's real population at roughly 800 million. Residents themselves echo these suspicions. People in Anhui told NTD reporters that since the outbreak of the pandemic, too many people have died, and that both urban and rural populations have plummeted. There's hardly anyone left on the mainland now. People are dying every day, and it's extremely serious. The actual population is not 1.4 billion at all. One said the pandemic, beginning in 2020 and stretching to the present, remains cloaked in secrecy. The CCP has even stopped releasing cremation data, making it impossible to know the true death toll. Many high-ranking officials who passed away were either not reported at all or only acknowledged months later, reinforcing the chilling adage, "They died and no one knew." Local authorities, desperate to shield themselves from blame, also worked aggressively to cover up the outbreak's severity. Yet online accounts continue to describe mass infections and sudden deaths across multiple provinces, reports that Beijing works tirelessly to suppress. What is clear is that the CCP's once vaunted population dividend, the demographic advantage that underpinned China's rise, is evaporating. The party may refuse to acknowledge the scale of the crisis, but the signs are everywhere. Empty malls, deserted streets, beggars vanishing from sight, and entire villages left abandoned. These haunting images converge into a single undeniable conclusion. China's population crisis is no longer a distant forecast. It has already arrived. China feels as if descending into hell. Death surged dramatically. Ghost festival fires blaze across the land. On September 5th, coinciding with the 14th day of the 7th lunar month, widely known in China as the Ghost Festival or Zongyuan Festival, mainland streets were illuminated not by neon lights, but by the glow of countless paper fires. Across the country, families burned offerings to honor their dead. Yet this year, the scenes were strikingly different. The sheer number of paper-burning ceremonies far exceeded those of previous years, sparking a wave of unease. Why are so many people now engaged in mourning? By custom, burning joss paper is an age-old practice during Qingming, the Ghost Festival, and the first day of the 10th lunar month. Yellow and white paper, often cut into coin-like shapes, is set ablaze as a symbolic currency for the afterlife. It is meant to maintain the connection between the living and the departed, reflecting both remembrance and filial duty. In ordinary years, one might see small groups kneeling at street corners at night, smoke curling upward from modest piles of burning paper. But this year, the scale of participation has been overwhelming. Entire neighborhoods have been blanketed in ash. One citizen observed grimly, "By looking at how much ash is scattered on the ground, you can guess how many people have passed away." The surge coincides with troubling demographic signs. Over the past year, China's population appears to have dropped sharply, with eerie depopulated scenes in both rural towns and major cities where residents seem to have vanished. Independent reports suggest the pandemic claimed not just thousands or millions, but potentially hundreds of millions of lives, figures the Chinese Communist Party has allegedly concealed. Officially, Beijing still insists the country has 1.4 billion people. In reality, observers fear the number may have fallen by nearly half as new diseases continued to sweep through the mainland. Accounts from ordinary citizens further underscored the depth of the crisis. A Beijing resident revealed that COVID-19 has never truly ended in China. The virus continues to mutate, bringing waves of sudden deaths. She recalled that in April last year, when her mother died in Zhangjiakou, Hebei province, the authorities, unable to keep pace with soaring mortality, relaxed restrictions and allowed traditional burials. A man in Jilin told of losing several friends suddenly after they received the vaccine. Outraged, he declared, "We have been harmed by the Communist Party, and the people are furious." Meanwhile, Beijing has not loosened its grip on control. Local governments across multiple provinces have moved to ban paper-burning rituals outright, outlawing the sale of joss paper and posting civil affairs staff and volunteers at intersections to physically block residents from setting offerings aflame. To many, this is not just an assault on centuries-old traditions, but a deliberate tactic to obscure the truth about rising death tolls. Observers argue that the suppression of such ancestral practices, coupled with the string of natural and social anomalies that have unfolded in recent years, lays bare an even harsher reality. Under the Communist Party, freedom of belief is crushed, while fear and resentment grow unchecked. This year's Ghost Festival transcends tradition. For many, it symbolizes more than filial piety. It has become a chilling metaphor for a nation gripped by crisis. A stark reminder that behind the carefully maintained facade of stability, uncertainty, grief, and profound instability continue to shadow the lives of the people under CCP rule. Nearly 100 million apartments sit vacant. Ghost cities are popping up across China. The real estate bubble has burst. Houses are given away for free, yet no one takes them. Put up for sale, no one buys. I have lived in this apartment for over 3 years alone. Nobody lives upstairs either, which is deeply troubling. That simple complaint highlights a much larger story. It is the crash of China's once thriving property market. From south to north, across provinces and megacities, new housing complexes stand strangely empty. Their dark towers look like post-apocalyptic ghost towns. A mainland blogger shared a night video of Heilongjiang's Heihei district, revealing the grim truth. Check out these tall buildings. Only a handful of lights are on. This one has 4 lit units out of 200. Another 30-story tower has just 2 or 3 glowing lights. Doesn't it look like a ghost city? This emptiness is symptomatic of a nationwide crash. One of the most chilling scenes comes from the Northeast's so-called number 1 ghost town. By day, it looks like a standard residential area. Clean exteriors, green landscapes, and neat streets. But at night, the silence is crushing. Only a single unit glows among thousands of Ocean View apartments. From above, drone shots show the whole district wrapped in darkness, a lone light flickering like the last survivor in a disaster movie. Residents claim many units were sold years ago, yet no one moved in. Some say people wouldn't even take these homes for free, given the utter desolation. Similar tales have appeared in the south. Chinese reporters visiting Huizhou's Daya Bay found a complex of 2,300 units, yet only 2 were lit at night. Streets were empty, shops closed, and by evening, not even household lamps glowed. At Yuxi Mountain Grand Canyon, a massive site with 18 buildings and 2,328 units, reporters counted just 2 occupied homes at 7 p.m. The parking lot was totally bare. Guards admitted fewer than 10% of owners ever moved in, describing night patrols as spooky, where every small sound felt ominous. Even in relatively wealthy Huizhou, the atmosphere is clearly ghostly. This should be a thriving zone, one resident said. Yet most buildings are empty. Real occupancy is under 20%. He explained that when he bought his apartment, the starting price topped 14,000 yuan per square meter, roughly 1,900 USD. Today, second-hand units fetch barely 8,000 yuan. A 1,000,000 yuan home now rents for only 1,500 yuan, about 200 USD. Selling, he noted bitterly, means losing not just equity, but years of mortgage payments and interest. The story repeats elsewhere. In Tianjin's Body District lies Jingjin New Town, once marketed as Asia's largest villa project. Complete with European-style gates modeled after the Arc de Triomphe, wide boulevards, and luxury facades. The development spans a prime spot between Beijing, Tianjin, and Tangshan. But since opening 2 decades ago, its occupancy rate has been abysmal. Today, Jingjin New Town is infamous as one of China's largest ghost towns, its vast villas standing silent and abandoned. The scale of China's real estate crash is shocking. Jorg Vutka, president of the EU Chamber of Commerce in China, told CBS's 60 Minutes that an estimated 80 to 90 million apartments sit vacant or unfinished across the country. That is enough to house the entire population of Germany, which is 82 million. Bloomberg reports that with up to 70% of household wealth tied to property, every 5% drop in home prices erases 19 trillion yuan, roughly 2.7 trillion USD. For years, real estate was the bedrock of China's growth model, a reliable store of value for families and the engine of local government revenue. Now, with apartments standing empty, even when offered nearly for free, that model has collapsed. The CCP's policies have left behind not thriving cities, but hollow shells. It is a testament to reckless overbuilding, distorted incentives, and a system where appearances mattered more than sustainability. Glittering towers with no residents, luxury villas with no owners, and entire districts plunged into silence after dark. Beneath the illusion of prosperity, China's ghost cities stand as monuments to economic mismanagement and warnings of the costs citizens bear. Trapped with no way out, China's youth buckle under crushing pressures of joblessness, debt, and a vanished future. In a country where youth should be entering their prime, full of energy and possibility, many in China are instead being crushed by an economic downturn that shows no sign of easing. Across social media, desperate voices tell the same story: layoffs, unemployment, and rejection after rejection when applying for work. Layered on top are mortgages, car loans, and rising living costs that leave many unsure of what to do next. Health is also faltering. Conditions once associated with the elderly are now appearing among the young. Cervical spondylosis, a neck and spine disease, is increasingly diagnosed in people in their 20s, earning them the grim nickname 20-year-olds with 60-year-old necks. Photos recently shared online capture the stark reality. At Shanghai No. 6 Hospital, rows of young people sit with their necks strapped into traction devices, a dim red light glowing behind them. Curious netizens asked, "What procedure is this?" The answer came back quickly: neck stretching therapy. They are being treated for cervical spondylosis. The rise of such illnesses is linked not only to sedentary jobs, but also to the notorious 996 work culture, 9 a.m. to 9 p.m., 6 days a week, that dominates many Chinese workplaces. For companies, there is little fear of pushback. In a sluggish economy with bleak job prospects, workers feel lucky just to be employed at all. Online forums are full of complaints about how hard it is to find work. In one viral video, a young woman in Chengdu broke down in tears. She explained she had applied for a job offering just 3,000 yuan a month, around $414, for 6 days of work per week. Despite her experience, she was rejected. On July 15th, a young man delivering food in his uniform posted his own bitter story. "I have a bachelor's degree in accounting, and now I'm delivering takeout. What about you?" The replies poured in. One person wrote, "I studied construction engineering. Now I sell tofu." Another admitted, "I also graduated with an accounting degree, but now I'm a Pilates instructor." A third said, "I majored in medical laboratory technology. Now I work as a telemarketer. I even graduated from a top 211 university in financial management. It is miserable being unemployed right now. And it is not just the young." Some seasoned professionals are also being dragged down by the downturn. A Shanghai media personality known online as Jiading Chenma said she and her husband had worked tirelessly since 2012. She once earned 200,000 yuan a year, around $27,000. But after 7 years of hard work, she was laid off. The longer she remained unemployed, the more strain it put on her marriage. For many, age has become another obstacle. Once past the 35-year threshold, finding new work is even harder. One widely shared video shows a young woman, unemployed for 90 days, trying to survive by selling rice balls. On her second day, she earned just 5 yuan, less than $1, for the entire day's work. She sobbed uncontrollably, saying she woke up at 5 a.m. to prepare ingredients, only to face setbacks that left her more exhausted than a conventional job. The anxiety over unemployment is sparking a culture of extreme frugality. On Chinese social platforms, bloggers now trade tips on how to live on 300 yuan a month, barely $41. Revenge saving, as it is called, has become a survival tactic, with young people setting harsh savings goals in case things get worse. For many, hopelessness is settling in. A growing number now identify as for no youth: no dating, no marriage, no home purchase, and no children. In one video, a young man from Tianjin explained, "Dating costs too much now. Every ounce of sincerity must be backed by money. It isn't that I'm not trying. Effort just leads nowhere. Competition is brutal. The greatest act of fatherly love I can give is not to bring a child into this world. In today's China, marriage and children feel like burdens. In major cities, mortgages turn even high earners into house slaves for life." The grueling 996 work schedule leaves almost no leisure time. Mr. Gao, a 36-year-old from Shenzhen who remains unmarried, put it bluntly, "It is not that young people want to live this way. It is the environment that forces us, not personal choice. I knew a couple who earned high salaries. They spent millions on a house with stable incomes to pay the mortgage. Life was manageable until the downturn hit. They both lost their jobs. The bank froze their loans. Years of effort gone overnight. If people like them can end up with nothing, what can we expect?" If you appreciate insightful, independent reporting, please consider subscribing. Until we meet again, stay curious and take care. Thank you.